Prime Minister Manmohan Singh will be meeting the entire Council of Ministers today in what's expected to be an occasion for the Prime Minister to give his new look team a pep talk after the last reshuffle in the UPA. Besides the Prime Minister, the meeting would also be addressed by Finance Minister P. Chidambaram. With just over a year for general elections, the Prime Minister is expected to ask his ministers to hasten reforms and roll out key welfare schemes. With 17 ministers having taken oath on Sunday, the Prime Minister's team has 11 ministers of state with independent charge, several of whom are younger faces who've been promoted by Rahul Gandhi, who the party is actually banking on to get down to work and deliver results. Official sources said a highlight of the meeting would be the Prime Minister's efforts to revive the economy, and he is expected to see greater coordination among various ministries to implement some of these key decisions that have been taken by the government in the recent past. The meeting will also chalk out the roadmap and outline the priorities for the remaining period of the UPA-2 tenure, stepping up investment, especially in the infrastructure sector, by fast clearances to high-cost projects and effective coordination in the implementation of government agenda. These would be at the core of this entire exercise. Headlines today's political editor Javed Ansari now joins us from the newsroom. Javed, it isn't very frequent that Prime Minister holds parleys, holds meeting with his entire council of ministers. So in that sense, it's very, very significant. Just take us through the top agenda of this meeting.
Well, Ruchika, first of all, this is the first exercise of its kind. If my memory serves me right, a similar exercise was held by late Rajiv Gandhi. He took the entire cabinet to Sariska, where they held a two-day camp and an off-site kind of exercise, brainstorming session where he gave them a pep talk. The Prime Minister's exercise is somewhat similar. He's just effected a huge cabinet reshuffle. He's shuffled his cards. He says this is the last reshuffle of his cabinet before the elections, and therefore he's going to give them a pep talk. He's going to exhort them to work as a team. He's going to ask the senior ministers to delegate work to the juniors. Although this is not something unprecedented, he did that unsuccessfully a couple of years ago. He's also going to, lay out the priorities and for the need to work as a team. They are just, close to a year and a half to go for general elections, and he's going to try and impress upon them that this is the final lap, and they need to put their best foot forward, all hands on deck, and most importantly, the UPA needs a record to run on, and that's what he's going to impress upon them, that work hard and ensure that all the priorities are taken up, all the flagship programs are taken up on a priority and executed, so that come 2014 they have something which they can take to the people.
All right, Kartika Sharma also joins us now from the capital. Kartika, as far as specifics are concerned, what really will be the deliverables from this meeting? What are we looking at? Could the Prime Minister be setting some targets for these new ministers? All right, since we have some trouble with that phone line, we'll try and reconnect with Kartika Sharma in just a bit. Javed, if I could ask you the same question, could we be looking at Prime Minister setting targets for some of these ministers as this meeting takes place today?
In fact, if you remember, when UPA-2 was formed, he set those 100-day targets for each ministry. Each minister was asked to come up with a game plan. Now, he's going to ask these ministers to ensure that all those plans, all the priorities, all the tasks that were cut out for various ministries are implemented. The main focus of the Prime Minister and his Finance Minister is the economy. They need to get the economy in shape. There are two issues which are staring this government in the face. One is the issue of price rise and the other is corruption. He's going to ask them to avoid controversy, to be very careful, to ensure that there's utmost transparency in their dealing, and then will come the question of the economy. That's where Finance Minister Mr. P. Chidambaram comes in. He's going to address them. They're going to, clearly spell out their plans and cooperation they need. They need greater interministerial cooperation, because there are lots of things that the Finance Ministry and other ministries come forward with, but they await ministerial clearances. Sometimes the Environment Ministry puts its foot down, other time there are other ministries. So they need to be working as a team rather than just individual ministers going out for their own share of glory. And that's the point. This will be more in the nature of a team talk, a pep talk, just as the Indian cricket team or footballers go into a match before just before the match, the captain of the team gets them together and gives them a pep talk. This is what he's going to do. He will probably lay down the broad outlines and then leave it to the ministers to start its implementation.
All right, Kartika Sharma, I think, is back with us. Well, these, of course, are the live pictures that we are getting to you from 7 Racecourse residence of the Prime Minister, where the ministers have started reaching. The meeting would begin shortly. Prime Minister meeting his entire Council of Ministers this morning. Kartika Sharma on the phone line with us right now. Kartika, as we've been talking about a blueprint of sorts that the Prime Minister could be looking at, laying down the roadmap and meeting all these ministers. Very, very significant, this meeting that comes after the recent reshuffle, which is believed to be the last ahead of 2014. So this meeting, of course, will take place with an eye on 2014 elections, which are still a year and a half away. But this certainly is being seen as, UPA's slogovers. So the focus will entirely be on the issues, on the big issues that is facing the government.
You see, my sources tell me that the biggest takeaway of the meeting is that the Prime Minister is going to drill this idea to everyone that it is not only the job of the cabinet ministers to be the face of the executive. Every MOS or MOS with independent charge will have to make a difference, as Javed was saying, because this is the last 1 year which they have got. And the Prime Minister will urge upon the seniors, and this is the most important, that they must give some work to MOS and the people who have been freshly inducted in the ministry. And lastly, the Prime Minister will use this opportunity to tell every person that it is in unison that they will be able to deliver. And cabinet ministers not cooperating with their with the young ones in their ministries who have joined as a new Minister of State, and without their participation, it will be very impossible for the government to actually come out with a actionable, tangible delivery plan. So I think these are the 3 or 4 points on which the Prime Minister is going to touch upon. He has kept half an hour for MOS and cabinet ministers. After that, at 11, the usual cabinet will start, on which I would say that the note on which they will take up a very sensitive matter which has to deal with civil society activists. And for the first time, after 2006, the government is going to withdraw its own recommendation, which was passed in 2006 cabinet, that file noting should not be given to civil society activists or any person accessing them through the RTI Act. So I think it is also significant that after this meeting of the Council of Ministers, cabinet is going to withdraw one of the provisions which they themselves passed in 2006. So I think it's also symbolic.
Most certainly, Kartika. Of course, I'll be talking about those developments, the issues that are taken up and passed in that cabinet meet. But for now, this all-important meeting with the entire Council of Ministers, Prime Minister and the Finance Minister, going to address all ministers, including the MOS and the junior ministers who do not actually get a chance to meet and air their views with the Prime Minister during the cabinet meetings. They're, of course, meeting the Prime Minister today in this Council of Ministers meeting that the Prime Minister has called at his 7 Racecourse Road residence. For the moment, let's leave it there. Kartika Sharma, Javed Ansari, thank you both for joining us.